Is it a simple miscommunication or a case of bad neighbors? It started with a disagreement over property lines in Tehama County. KRCR News Channel 7's Tracy Leong has been getting the facts, and she joins us now. Tracy.
Mike, I spoke to both neighbors who do agree on one thing. They want the dispute resolved. The problem is figuring out who is right.
I took everything that I had to buy this piece of property for my children. And now we can't live here because our neighbor's cutting off our water and making our lives miserable.
After the bank foreclosed on his neighbor's property, John Kolthoff bought it in December 2011. And since then, he said it's been a nightmare.
You don't try running them out of their house. You know? You don't treat their property like it's your property. That's not a good neighbor. And all I want is a good neighbor.
And John says this all could have been resolved if he was able to lock his gate, something his neighbor and the deputy wouldn't allow.
My other neighbors were watching the property for me, and they could not keep track of the people coming and going. There were even parties going on over here while I was gone. And yeah, if that gate had been shut, they would have known.
He says his neighbor Wanda Rogers wants access to the gate on his property so she can get to her home. But John says it's not right because she has her own entrance on the other side. John has had his property burglarized several times. His truck and generator are among the missing items. And he says it wouldn't have happened if the gate was locked.
That's how simple it would have been. I feel violated. Violated. My daughters, like, you can tell they're upset. They're not sleeping well. One of them doesn't want to come up here right now.
I spoke to his neighbor, Wanda, who didn't want to go on camera, saying she has the right to use the gate that leads to her home because the rule is grandfathered in. However, I spoke to Lieutenant Greer with the Tehama County Sheriff's Department. He says this battle over land rights is pretty common in the rural areas.
A lot of times people just assume that this is the property line, when in fact, until surveyed, you find that it may be, a tenth of a mile or a quarter mile off of what they thought the property lines were. I mean, it does get very tense and heated, unfortunately, and so that's where we deal with the problems that we deal with out there.
John tells me he plans to get his land surveyed Friday so he can legally define the boundaries. As for his stolen items, he's offering a $5,000 reward to find out who is responsible. Tracy Leong, KRCR News Channel 7.